You got it. And we are recording. Caleb, make note.
What? What did I do?
Just in case that they act up or anything, you can point out to them.
Oh, okay.
If they say anything that's maybe a little strange. Or... All right, so we've got updated book that I set up here, which is going to be what I ended up returning. So I chose to create an updated book that will be the result of this. So I check the existing book.length. If it doesn't exist, my updated book is whatever the existing book is with a concat on incoming order. And you guys familiar with the difference between the different ways to push to an array? So you have the array push and you have a concat. You can just look at those real quick. So there's some key differences. They do essentially the same thing, but what they return is a little bit different. So I'll just go into the Chrome console. We could do this, similar things to this in the Node console, but the Chrome console is where I always go to just play with code because it's the fastest, easiest way to create variables, see what they are. All right, so I want to just create an array. I can operate directly on an array. I can just have an array here. I can operate on that array. Immediately I have a dot length and I can do different things with the array. But I'm going to go ahead and just create a variable. Cars is the one I always go with. Cars, everybody understands cars. Everybody likes cars, right? So that's an easy one. So we've got cars in here. We can do the good old Tesla. And we can have ourselves a good old reliable Toyota. Okay, so now I have cars in here, cars.length. And now I want to add another car to that array. I create a new variable, new inventory, and I expect this to be the existing cars plus whatever car I'm going to add onto it. So I can do a cars.push is what I'm thinking. Cars.push, and I want to put a Honda on there. So I'm thinking that new inventory is going to be the array of cars we had plus the Honda on it, right? So now type new inventory, and it's 3. Okay, so cars.push didn't do exactly what I thought it would do. What cars.push returns is the number. So it would return a number. So I would have a bug in my code right here if I was thinking that this was going to return the updated array. So really what this does, a push, would be something like cars length, right? I would have the length, oops, get rid of that. I'd have the cars length that came back for me. So push isn't exactly what I need in this case, because if I did a push, then my updated book would be a number, not the updated array. Yeah. So I could accidentally make that mistake. So I'm just going to refresh this because I used the let. I can't redefine the variable. Clear this. Let's just start. Hit the up arrow a couple of times. There's my cars. And now we try new inventory. Cars.concat. And we'll put a Ford in there. And now when I check out my new inventory, now I've got an array. So the dot push and the dot concat update an array, but they return something different. So it's really key to know the difference between what they're returning. So normally I use push a lot of the times, except if I want to create a new array from the result. That's what I want to do here. I want to leave my existing book exactly as it is. And I want to update my new book. I want to put that in there. So that's why I use concat. So that gives me whatever came in, and it puts the incoming order onto that array. So then after that, we've got a whole bunch of rules to follow. When we look at these tests, there are so many tests in there. So rather than just have an else and try to handle the other conditions, I created a new method so that I could put the code somewhere else so that I can keep this method short. Like one of the first lessons we worked on was clean up your code. So we could end up with a bunch of code here for all the other tests and then later clean it up and move it to a new function. But looking at the tests, we know that we're going to do a bunch of stuff. So in that case, I already set up and I created this get updated book, which does nothing yet. It sounds like you guys all had that pretty good. Okay, so now for the second test, our reconcile book adds an order to the book when the book has orders of only the corresponding type, cell with no buys. So when I read that, that just confuses me. I have to read that one 6 times, right? Then I can look at the data though to help out understanding that. There's an existing book with a cell order. There's an incoming order of a cell. And the updated result is expected to be 2 cells. So in order for a cell to happen, somebody has to put in an order to buy something. We have only one order in our book. It's a cell order. We get a new order in. It's also a cell. So our book is going to have those 2 items in it. So our test data changes for every test, right? So in this one, our existing book was empty. We added this incoming order into it. But now we're starting over. Our next test has nothing to do with the last test. So our book in the second test is a totally new book. This is the existing book. All right, I think the data might be the same. Yeah, so coincidentally, by coincidence, this test is set up building on this one. But what we do with this data, once that test is over, it's gone. So we've got a brand new book and a brand new incoming order. The existing book comes in. Our previous test, our previous fix for the other test passed this test, right? If I remember right. So if I were to run this and I didn't have any other code, right? Actually, no, because it has one, so it's got one. So somebody had come up with, they basically just had this, and this passed the last test. So they'd come up and they had done this. So that makes the first test pass. And then it also made the second test pass. Kind of clever and accidental, because all you're doing is taking whatever is in the existing book and putting the incoming order on. So when the existing book was empty, you got one order and you put it on the book, the test passed. On the next one, we're just pushing, so the test passed again. But then the rest of your code gets difficult from there. That's what it was. Somebody got me there. I got the first two tests passing. It's pretty clever, but it's going to cause you trouble. So based on what that's looking for, it's looking for corresponding orders. So I'm doing a filter. And I'm filtering to find the matches. I'll go back to console for a second. If I was looking for let's do cars as objects here this time. So we'll do an object, make of Tesla, have a make of Toyota. Just keeping our test data simple here. Give you an example by itself. We'll have another one with a make of Chevy, if I can type right. And then I'm going to add another one that's a duplicate. If these are all objects, I can also do a make, another make, which is make it also a Tesla. And those are the only ones we're going to care about for now, what the model is. So we've got a Model S, and we'll have a Model 3. We won't put a model on the other ones for now, so it's not just extra data we don't need to put in here. So Model S and a Model 3. Oops, cars has already been declared. I got to refresh. Run that again. Okay. So that's what I executed. Print out my cars. I've got an array of 4 cars. Now, if we only wanted to get the Tesla cars out of there, the way we need to do that is through a filter. So this is similar to what we need to do with the order book. That's why I give you this example, which is slightly different. So that way you see it this way, this order book, your head's already filled with so much in order book. We'll just look at it from something a little simpler, and then we'll go back to order book. So you've got 4 cars in here, and we want to get all of the Teslas. And I put these 2 models in here just so that we can show that they are the 2 records that we wanted to get. So to do that, I'd have to create a new variable, call it our Teslas, right? And we start with our cars, and we've got to filter down on those cars. Whenever I do a filter function, syntax always drives me crazy. You guys are learning syntax, it probably drives you a little crazy too. Where do things start and end? So first thing I do is I type out that anonymous function. I type out the full syntax for that, so I have that. So this is the function that's going to get called. How many times will this function get called? Does anybody know? 4 times, right? It's going to get called once for every item in the array. Good, good. All right, and what is it going to get called with? It's going to get called with each element. In this case, it's object. So the first time through will be this object, second time, third time, fourth time. So every time it's going to have an object. And that object we can generically just call item. Do that a lot. I don't know if JC did that with you too, but a lot of times item is just a generic name. We can also get specific. It's going to be a car object, so we can call it car. All right, so I'm going to get first time through is going to be whatever this car is, second time this car, third time, fourth time. I can console.log that just to confirm what I think. Just run that, and this is an entirely incorrect filter function. Okay, so each time through I can see what ran through there. All right, so now that I confirm that using a console.log, what does a filter function have? It usually has just 1 line of code. Anybody know the name of that? Starts with P. What kind of statement this is? Returns true or false. Predicate statement. Okay, so we've got a predicate statement, which just means you've got something that returns, evaluates the true or false. So I want to decide true or false based on if the car is a Tesla. So I have car, and then I want to check if it's a Tesla. How's that look? Look about right? Yeah. There's a trick in there. So car is what type of data? It's an object, right? So car is an object and it has properties on it, and I put the property as Tesla. What was that property name? It's the make, right? Put the make in there. So I got to check car.make equal to Tesla. And so when we go back to order book, you're going to think of you have the incoming order and you've got the type on it, right? Okay, so we're checking if it is a Tesla. So if it's true, Tesla's the first time through, if Tesla is a match and true is evaluated, the filter function is going to return that, and Tesla's is going to have 1 item in it. Second time through, it's going to check. If that's true, it's going to take that item from that array and put it into Tesla's. So Tesla's could be, what's the minimum amount of the length of the array that Tesla's could be? It should be 2 in this case, because we've got 2 matches. If we were given different data, Tesla's could be a length of 0. If none of the filter predicate statements evaluated true, if there were no matches, Tesla's could be an empty array. It's always going to be an array. The result of a filter function is always an array. What is the longest that Tesla's could be? I've got an array in cars that's 4. How long could Tesla's possibly be as a 2? 2 based on the data we have. So if we had that array and it had 4 Teslas in it, then this could be as long as if there were matches in here. Like for instance, if I just had return true, right? Another bad statement. If I had return true in here, then Tesla's would be whatever the length of cars is. So the result of a filter function can be 0 up to the length of the original array that you're starting with. Oh, identify Teslas has already been declared. So that's one of the things about using the let statements in the console. I try to show it to you guys so that you define them correctly, but you can't define a variable using let more than once. You can with var though, right? So I got to rerun my cars, or my cars. And I'll rerun the statement here. And when I print out Teslas, I get an array that has 2 cars in it. So you guys were good. This function that's passed in, executed for however many times are in the original array, and then the result is going to be based on this statement, evaluating to true or false. So that's the same concept that we want to use to solve this test. Adds an order to the book when the book has orders of only the corresponding type. Okay, so we're looking for type matches, and that type property is in our object. So that's where I got the use of the filter from. So I come back here and I've got the corresponding orders equal to existing books.filter. I use that generic term of item, and I check for the item.type equal to the incoming order.type. And that's how I can compare the 2 types. And now I've got a new array. I've got the corresponding orders here. And then I can check the length of that. And I can say if the corresponding orders.length is the existing book.length, then we put that array in there. Okay, and this is just one way to solve it, right? This is just one way. There are several ways. If you had something different, if you're thinking something different, we can look at that out after and walk through what code you had, but this is one way where we're just checking. So if all of the orders with the matching types, all the orders with the matching types are the same as what we get for corresponding orders, we've got exactly what we started with, basically. So the filter length, the length of the result of the filter, had the same length as what we started with, so we don't have anything new. Oops, what am I typing? On the tests, I've got 3 tests passing now just to confirm that the code I'm showing you hasn't been accidentally changed. All right, so we get down to the 3rd test. We start with the existing book again. This test has nothing to do, the data in this test has nothing directly to do with the previous 2 tests. So this time it's a buy, right? So this data is all gone. And this is one thing I've seen the students get caught up in, is that you're comparing what the existing book was in the other test, but you got to forget about it. This test is brand new. So we don't have this sell order in there anymore. We just have this buy order. So in this test, we're just starting out. The existing book is similar to what we had before. It's brand new though. It's a buy order for a quantity of 6150. We're going to get an incoming order of a sell. So somebody's looking to buy some Bitcoin, and then somebody places their order and they want to sell their Bitcoin. So when we read the text of the test, adds an order to the book when the book has a corresponding order type, but it does not match. So in other words, the price and the quantity. So somebody wants to buy 10 at 6150. Somebody wants to sell 12 at 6,000. So it's not an exact match. It actually would be a good sale. Somebody could make money here. But in the case of the test that we're writing right now, is even though they're the right type, the quantity and the price don't match. So somebody wants to sell 12. We've only got an order for 10. So that's not an ideal match. It could be, right? Somebody could say, okay, sell those 10 and the other 2 sell when somebody else places an order, right? But the way we're writing the code for this test for now, some business person told us this is, you know, what the rules are. It's what we have to go with. So the result, yeah, it's actually this that single push statement or the single concat would also solve this one too. So it was like the first 3 tests could pass by just having your order. I'll just show you that again. So if we just had this statement in here, right, this concat statement, I believe it would also pass this test. I'm just going to save that for a second. And let's just see. Yeah. So this bug, somebody had passed the first 3 tests real quick. Everybody else was still working on the first one. Someone's like, yeah, I get the first 3 passing, but I'm having a hard time with the 4th one. So this is just by coincidence, right? Because when we look at the test, every time it's just expecting whatever we had, it's just expecting this to have added it onto the stack. So the test could be improved a little bit so that people can't kind of hack the system there, but you learn, you know? So everything is pretty similar. Got this really long method that we end up adding. So get updated book, we come in there and to figure out matching orders, created a function called get existing orders, which can fulfill incoming orders. There's a whole lot there. So why did I do that? Just to break out the code. And I couldn't come up with a better name at the moment. I still can't, but there's a better, shorter name. There's a lake out where I live. It's Webster Lake, but it's got a name like, show you that, Webster Lake. Every time I drive on the highway, it's got the sign. Yeah. Wait, so that's what I feel like, yeah.
What is that sign?
Exactly. So I drive by that all the time.
Lake.
It's a good Indian name. Freshwater Lake or something. Long Lake. Yeah. All right, so that's what I think of when I have a function like this. I'm like, oh my goodness. But it's specific. It tells you what it's doing. So this code, again, could just be right in place down here. I just extracted it and I put it into a function. So now what we did is we're checking for the types to be different. So buy versus sell. So we've got a sell order. We want to know that it's different. So hold on, let me look at the test again. We've got a buy order, yeah. We've got a buy order, and we want to know if the incoming order is a sell. And so this part of the statement would be true. So we've got in the existing book, we had the buy, the incoming order is a sell. So if we just had this part of the code, we would put our record in there. However, price on the existing book and quantity don't match the incoming, right? So that would be similar to, I have my Teslas, right? And we get that out of here, cars.filter on the make. But if somebody didn't want just a Tesla, they wanted a Model 3, we would need that extra statement on here. And how do you do an AND statement in JavaScript? Who remembers how to do an AND? It's double ampersand. How about an R? Do you guys remember an R?
Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the double pipes. Yeah. Cool. Weird syntax, right? It's really strange stuff.
What is my computer?
So car.make equals a Tesla, and then we have to check car.model, right? That's the other property. Having computer issues?
Yes.
So now I've got to check that the two things are equivalent. My Model 3. So similar to the other filter we were looking at, except now we're checking all of the properties. So we've got to check that the types are different, but then the price and the quantity are the same. Even though when we look at that, we think it's a little strange because we're like, why not just fulfill part of that order, right? But that's an extra credit thing, right? It's less than an extra credit. Okay, so we adapted. First, we were checking just if the existing book didn't have a length. We didn't need to do any more logic. Okay, so the first time through, if there's nothing in the book, put the order in. The second time through, we were just checking that the types matched. So we were just able to check that the types matched. But the third test said we don't just need, as far as match, it's actually like corresponding order, a buy with a sell. So once we have the buy with the sell comparison, we also have to check the price and the quantity. So that's the third test starts to change things up. We're growing our code to be a little longer. Any questions about this so far? All right, so the next test. What my changes? Changed order book, huh? Yeah, you can always just put it aside for now. You want to type along? Is that what you're hoping to do, or?
I'm doing multiple things. I'm trying to do this and look at GitHub and stuff, but my Google will not open whatsoever.
Oh, you can just have to watch the show what it wants.
Yeah, I noticed it's throwing some problems there, and that's been the same case with me. Should that matter?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So, but the Git issues I just had, yeah, so if you want to change branches, you've got to decide if the code that you have is good, then you want to commit that code. You need to add that code and commit it before you change branches. So in my case, I didn't mean to change order book. So let's see, say I did want to change order book though. Okay. I just wanted to add a comment in there. That's what I like. No.
Like 7-9.
And that's the short version too. There's this one's probably the longer one. Somewhere in here is like, then like some people actually get mad when they shorten it. I think that's the actual long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like on the sign, you can see it.
To look up the city of Wales that has the longest city in the world.
I've heard of this before.
I've been there.
You've been there?
Yeah,
What's it called?
I can't say it.
It's one of those
Old
Gaelic
Welsh.
names. Yeah, yeah. Yep. So the Native Americans and the Irish, they got some stuff in common.
Longest name in Britain. It said it was in Britain.
Well, it is in Wales, right? Yeah. Wales, part of Britain, I guess. Yeah.
Crazy names in the world. They're longer.
Yeah, but those two are one. Some of them. Some people know it. Like there was a guy I met from Wales, and he knew when we said Massachusetts, he knew the lake because they had the longest name there. So for that reason, he knew. You know. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, we got a long name. It's just kind of one of those random conversations. So Patrick, right? I am on. I'm going to check my branch. I just made a change. I added a comment to order book. Now that's a change that I do want. I'm on this branch, and I want to check out another branch. And when I do that, it's going to tell me your local changes to the following files would be overwritten by checkout. So I've got to either stash them or commit them, it says. So the easiest thing, the most common thing, is that you want to commit that. So I want to leave that on the branch. So before I go over to another branch, I'm going to commit that so that it's on that branch. So next time I come back to that branch, those changes are there. The other thing it's talking about is git stash. What's that, Patrick?
I said I got it. And because what I noticed or what I read into was when I started working on the second test, it broke the first test.
Right. Yep. And that's very common. And even the third one can break the other tests. As you go through, you can definitely break the other tests, which is sure to drive you crazy. So the other thing it talks about is stash. Do you guys use stash at all yet? Stash is really cool. The more you get into development, it's good because now I might want to just not have to deal with committing them. Maybe I changed a couple of files I can't really remember. I can just do a git stash. And what that does is it creates a temporary branch and puts the file over there in that temporary branch. And so later when I come back, I can do a git stash pop and bring it back. So it just puts everything away, stashes it, and that stash is available. You can view that stash. Should we give her a minute to come back?
Are we doing the call today?
It's supposed to be 6:30, right?
We're talking about next week.
Oh, that was next week? I
Next
thought it
week?
was, okay.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh,
said,
yeah, it says, oh my God.
Said, yeah, looking at next week.
I got all upset.
Oh, you were upset just now?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
because there
what
was
is
no
this?
response
Yeah.
from him. I mean, from any of us. So,
Just shows
did
how
you say
much
next week?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
your workspace
First
is.
sentence, he said, I just didn't.
The car API. Oh, you know, some of these times I don't see these messages, and it really sucks. So some-
I have to move the solution pop up on my phone, but sometimes they don't.
I have them pop up on my phone, but then it's like, I don't really care, so it's like, oh, I'll only send you once you actually respond then. Like, okay.
Didn't JC Bibb said if we took a call in the middle of his class, got up and walked
Do you
out
even
and
see
said, "Oh,
this
here."
message?
Because he said 6:30 is during class.
Yeah. What is this? Slack of
We
people?
could. I'm pretty sure JC won't mind.
Part of class, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now I see the, no, I see that. We didn't respond to this, right?
Well, you have to do it over Zoom. You can do it from Zoom.
Yeah, but it's not for this.
I don't know if you ever do it before or after class. Like 5:30 is too early.
9 is too late for me.
It's not for this, it's next week. Oh. So it's next week, that day, not this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
No
already
one's up.
established.
Yeah,
that.
that's what we were talking about. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
It's
we-
not read. It's a lesson in reading.
What's the time?
Just take a break. Yeah, just take a break for a minute. We threw a bunch of info at you. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
No.
I have. So every time, so in your test that I saw, that you run the first block of code and you have that updated book, and then you have second test, so that the updated book is only created for that block of tests. And you're creating the same name but for a different test.
So each time the test runs, that updated book will run for that test, right? Every
That
test.
particular one, but not. So is it why Patrick's was breaking because he might be using the same updated book on one test and then another same updated book on the second test?
It depends on how you solve the issue. So if you solve the issue in a way that doesn't make the whole system work, like you can pass one test, but the goal is you've got to make all the tests pass, right? So you just have to work with those together. So we could look at Patrick's code. You could walk through, try to see that example of what broke. But it's just all of those things have to coordinate together.
Because you're doing the test separately, that's why you have updated book and you have another updated book.
Right. Each
And
time
each
updated book
time updated book.
starts brand new. Yeah.
It's throwing errors because something, I don't know where.
You have dot push. So that actually doesn't give you that gives you the length of the array. It doesn't actually give you an array.
So do I want dot line? Wait, which one? Which one? This one? or
The
top line?
that's the if statement.
This one?
No, the other one. Both like this actually.
Oh, wait.
Because the
They're
other
the exact same thing.
yeah. So the dot push just returns the length. If you want dot concat.
So last class was recording.
Oh, and then
I don't think it got
I don't know that was recorded.
We were recording last class, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't remember the big line around
Okay.
I don't know that I recorded because I used my own link. I don't know that I started a record on there.
Okay, so
was there
now
stuff in there we
that's-
need to cover?
That's fine.
I think you're doing some stuff with the Alexis bill, but I mean that's. If you have any
Just trying to
idea,
get it to actually go again.
Yeah, I'll check if it got recorded.
It should
This
work.
one's definitely recording.
huh?
Sometimes,
This one can be posted, right?
Yeah, I'll post this one up.
Looks like if there's something.
Probably
wrong
shared
with
the Alexa
reconcile
one that I
order.
did.
I don't know what it did.
Oh, the other
Because
because it's module dot is supposed to be. You can just have some like curly braces there or something. Like you're missing.
You know what? So there's something wrong and it's just throwing errors. I don't know why it's just throwing errors.
Did you get it installed?
Yeah, it's been installed. I don't know why it's randomly deciding it doesn't want to start running
So if you scroll up a little bit,
this.
Yeah, you're getting syntax errors.
Well, 9:12 and 9:14.
Unexpected end of input.
Might be missing like somewhere or.
Probably. I don't know where it wants the bracket.
Oh, the
Are you getting-
reconcile order needs some instead of empty parentheses at the end. Because that's supposed to be exporting the function.
Oh, so just this?
Function. Yeah.
sure. Need that because that would run it. You guys, I got a cool extension that you're gonna want to install. So when you look at this, you can see how I've got these yellow.
Yeah, I haven't
Right.
run this yet.
So
Yeah, actually, that will help.
so if I do circles and then inside the circles,
Yeah.
it's not circles but parentheses, and inside there if I have more, so it then it goes back. So I have all of that color coding to see where things start and end. Glad you asked.
Yep.
What's that extension?
So let me double check. It's maybe brackets,
Freaking out right here.
bracket pair, yeah.
This.
So this extension, bracket pair colorize.
Oh, because you don't.
Yeah, so I'm gonna copy that. I'll paste that right into the random chat for you.
Where?
There's an opening parenthesis at the end of the reconcile order function.
Reconcile.
And then, yeah, and then there's an open one for your, there's an open one for your curly statement. But there's only one closing parenthesis.
So just with that.
You'd say that.
Because you keep track of the syntax. Thing, so you're not
Cannot read
constantly
properly.
running into
Like,
syntax.
Right.
errors.
Oh, so it's running your application.
It just helps identify just one more.
Yeah, I installed
Find out
both
where
of them.
things are. You didn't,
Still can't always help
Didn't
you
do
with it.
that too.
didn't define the existing.
Yeah, I don't know what that
I think
I
you might
was
actually
so
need to
close.
define a variable.
Okay.
is. Yeah, we should close that.
So if you scroll up, but it's not a lot in this file still. Scroll to the top, are we out?
This is all it is, and it's freaking out. It used to run code, and now it's just anything I do. It's like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
No, spooky season's over, so
Yeah.
All year
I mean, it means
round.
it's officially
It
Christmas.
never ends.
yeah, which means it was an elf, not a
Gratitude.
ghost.
It's gratitude season.
It's Krampus.
Oh, that movie was terrible.
I listened to this podcast of my favorite murder. Oh my god.
Favorite murder?
Yeah, my favorite murder. It's like those crime.
Yeah, I
But-
listened to one of those too. Insomniac.
I
About,
don't
like,
know.
There's a
It's very about
Netflix.
crime,
There's a
and then
Netflix
it's
on
I
it.
kind
watched
of
that
like
too.
a
I don't know why I'm so interested
comedy.
in it. I just like the psychology behind it. It's
yeah.
Guys,
Huh?
Kinda
It's
comedy.
like a true serial killer.
yeah.
It's like
I'm
it's
just
too
getting
late.
better.
Too late.
Biding my time.
Go off all the time, but I like it. I go to sleep about the
Doesn't give you nightmares.
What do you target?
Alexa. It's
What
fun.
do you target for your?
So now I realize
I
that
mean, every
like when I was
was trying
serial
to
killers,
use
they go after certain people, but
Count chocolate.
the, like in Amazon,
I
it
don't
shows
see
me in the details of the movie, right? It show me that it has.
have you
some
watched
part,
Dexter?
right here,
Okay.
but on,
I feel like you may watch.
but when I do the post,
It's
it doesn't
about
have
a
it.
serial killer.
Oh,
So
really?
it needs to happen.
Goes
Because
around
one
and
movie
kills
doesn't
bad
have
guys,
that
but a serial
parameters
killer.
Okay.
to check whether it has a subtitles or not.
I've heard of it. I've seen
But
like
this is,
memes
we should
about it.
check whether it is right here, right? Then only we can use it as a.
Takes a while to get into.
So it's not
And
available.
plus his sister,
So
and
I-
oh my
so I
gosh, she
decided to
swears like
change
every
it.
3 seconds in the show. It's like, how many
But now I
times
know
can we
that
swear in
I
the
have
show?
to check
500.
in postman
Let's
whether
go for
my
600.
old one is tolerable or not.
Yeah.
Because if the API
Like,
should
I
have it.
Right.
Literally,
Yeah, absolutely.
never seen someone swear as much as her
Now,
in a show
for
or
the-
movie. In every episode, she drops at least 3 F-bombs.
For the, the slots,
But no, my sister's like into all that
Slots.
serial killer stuff, and she ended up liking
Built-in
Dexter a
slots.
lot.
like, I'm still getting confused about the
Right.
usage slots.
Yeah.
Like we are using, like if we use the built-in slots, which is Amazon movie, it's basically they're using some built-in codes sometimes
Right. They have something pre-built for you.
pre-built for you.
Yeah, monster presents.
And that can either be helpful or hurtful. Sometimes it's easier to just write your own slot, right? I
Okay.
think last time we talked about using a string.
Right.
Just making
Exactly.
a string to start. And then if you can get that part working, then
So
there.
that's what you should just do is customize here. So you don't need to select a slot name.
Right. So you could just do it yourself first and get that working, and then you could see what Amazon does to maybe make it more helpful. But then those things aren't always necessarily helpful because they're hard to find
It's like
information on, right?
Those people have like sometimes.
So after we go through order book, we can go through that some more.
They don't have
Yeah. He tries to keep it as.
That's why I took the simple, like I followed through JCs and try to take some different
Yeah.
this thing, so I could at least follow what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized that okay, this is not there. Like I have to.
You
Check
picked the
like
one property.
Postman.
You picked the one property that wasn't available.
Exactly.
Subtitles. So maybe we can find that subtitles are there. All right. Let's see. Time is up for that break. It's always good to take a break and let your.
Researching stuff.
What kind of break is that? All right, so I over here, and I'm going to do an NPM test again. Okay, something you want to do now, or no? Okay, so we'll look at this one more test, and then we can look at the Alexa stuff. The next one, it fulfills an order and removes the matching order when the book contains a matching order of the same quantity. So this one got really advanced all of a sudden because now we've got to find that the order is there and we have to remove the match. Removing the match can be tricky. There's a lot of ways to remove an element from an array. And this one you can spend a bunch of time on. So we see that we start with an existing book that has a buy in it, and then we get a cell, and that cell has the same quantity and price. And on the updated book, the expectation is that the result is an empty array. So all that the app needs to do now is basically remove the reconcile order function. Basically just needs to remove that result, or that match rather. Okay, so now we get the updated book still. We find the matching orders. If there is an existing order that can fulfill the incoming order, we remove it from the book. So we have a remove match. So if we have a match, the first match, we're going to send that, we're going to use that first match. So we get yet another custom function that we put in here that could be in line, but I'm trying to keep the code organized. So you may write a lot more of your code in line without making more functions, but basically what you can see is that my get updated book passed the existing book, and the incoming order in. So that existing and incoming order I keep passing along until we get down here. So even this get existing matches, existing book and incoming order. But now we're removing the match. What match are we removing? The first one. And we pass the reference to the existing book. So we end up looking for a matching index. So we find index. Have you guys used a find index at all yet?
No.
So the MDM, Mozilla Developer Network, it's a good resource for the find index. Okay. Returns the index of the first element in the array that satisfies the provided testing function. Okay, so the testing function is a predicate, right? So if the element is greater than 13 in this case, we would get the first element, which we would expect to be what, 1 greater than 13. Expect it to be 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 130 is the first one greater than 13. So JavaScript does that weird thing that computers do. It starts counting at 0. So it gets 0, 1, 2, 3. That's good. We can run it and test it here. Get 3 there.
Really big 0, 1, 2, that's 3.
So 3 is this position. The other thing we can do is we can log set matching index equal to that variable. Equal to that result. We can console.log that, and we can also console.log the array at that position. So we can put in array 1 at the position of the matching index. Oops. Right, so we could have that, and then we see those two values. So is large number is considered by this logic to be any number than 13. So the matching index is equal to array.findIndex, and this is large number is a function. It's a named function now instead of an anonymous function, but it is still called once for every time in the array. So it's going to be called 5 times in this case, right? So rather than have this defined out here, what we normally write is we put it in line, right? So this would be the same as putting it in line like this, right? You guys see that you get a lot of the different examples. You can name the function and then you can pass in the name of the function, or you can have the inline function. This should work the same. Ooh, missing parentheses after the argument list. Nope, broke it all. Next. That one doesn't need to be there. I don't know. Looks right to me. Missing parenthesis after the argument list. Oh, so I have to change it. If I make it an anonymous function, I have to put in the arrow. There we go. So yeah, when you make things an anonymous function, when you get the anonymous function, you have the arrow. When you have the named function, you have the function keyword. So just to show that those are, essentially the same. So we get an index, and then we can use that index. So it finds in our existing book where there's a match, and we get the number for that match. So we go back to the test. It's going to find the first element in the array, right? Excuse me. So that first element is going to be what number? Thank you. So given this data, yep. So that's our data. What is matching index in that case going to be equal to? What will be the value of matching index? Should be 0, right? If there's a match, right? Actually, is that a match in this case? So the matching index, and then we do the splice. Have you guys seen the splice yet? We have that matching index, and we're going to get 0 and 1. So I'm going to use the Chrome console here. Actually, my Mozilla Developer Network is generally how I want to get my results for anything for an array. So then I do an array, a splice. I could also just go to the Mozilla Network and search, but I generally do that Google search. So there's information on the splice here. Change the contents of an array by removing or replacing existing elements. So if we splice from 1 for the index of 1 and put February in there, we get that added array in that added element in that array. So let me just come up with a new sample of my own. Or let me put this in the Chrome console. So in our case, we want to find it and we want to remove, we don't want to add to the array in our case. Console. We've got months. Let's change this for a second. We'll start with months. And we want to get the first element in the array, 0, and we'll say we want 1. So that'll give us January. We wanted the first 2 elements in the array, put that in, so it's 0 base. So start here and give me these. I could also say start at the second month, or that would be the third in this, right? So starting at the second one would actually be a 1, 0, 1. So start at March and give me 3. And that should give me March, April, and June. Oh, I lied. Splice 1, 3. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Because I modified the array. Hold on, let me refresh. We'll start with those months. Problem is that it's modifying the array. So once I spliced the array was shorter, so there was no longer that same length. So if I try to run this again, I've removed that array. So the splice changes the array that you're working on. It changes the months array itself. Just refresh that one more time. So say we wanted to get rid of January from this, right? And that's basically our goal. So at the first match, right, take that out, pluck that value out. So when I do that and then I check months, it's gone. So that's how we remove an element from an array. So now I have that months is exactly what it's been. If I want to remove this, the second element for the first length, that should be April. I should get April back here. I look at months, it's missing April, right? It's been removed. So it returns the position we gave it, but it updates the original array. The array that we started with has changed. And that's how we can remove from an array. So that's when we run into this one, we're removing a match. So we find the match. Once we find the match, we can remove it using splice. So we get the existing book come in, we create a new updated book, and we modify that updated book. That's how we can remove using splice. So you've got to use the findIndex and splice. So both of those were things that you hadn't seen directly in class, right? You saw the filter, you saw the map and the reduce, but findIndex and splice were things that you're expected to go out and learn about. Part of the challenge of that. So this order book was gauged or is based on a real take-home test. So a lot of companies do this. They give you some code, and they say, okay, go ahead and figure this out. So you got to take whatever you learned plus whatever you can learn about what you're doing. Right? So like this class, right, it's a boot camp. So we teach you a little bit of everything, but we really, like, there's the expectancy that you really need to go out and study up, especially the Mozilla Developer Network. So find out about an array, play with the arrays, look at the arrays. I've got a Monday Fun Day thing that we had started. I'll send you a link to that. And this was just trying to encourage everybody to just go create a file. So we'd just like work on filtering. So we'd just go and we'd create some data. Okay, so we've got, say we have some ages. Let's find a reason to filter those ages. What do we know about ages? Okay, if you're over 18, you can buy a lottery. Maybe if you're over 65 or something, then you get a senior citizen discount. We ended up going with filtering on the age for whether or not they're old enough to buy a lottery. So it was just a random example we kind of put together and work through class. And we've got all these different things, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Create just a random repo where you're just like working on arrays and find out something that you want to do in an array and then work on it and just come up with some silly little example. So here we were just working on filters again, just those ages. We did some map, reduce, and filter. So cars, again, go figure I would work on cars. So this is similar to order book, and so I'll give you the Monday Fun Day repo. I'll give you this direct one, but this is similar to what I just walked through with you guys. Is we've got an object of all of the cars, and say you have a sales opportunity, you've got a bunch of cars in your inventory, and somebody just said, hey, this is the kind of car I want to buy. Similar to in the order book, you can check and see. This was just a generic figuring out old cars, type matches, finding out cars that are the same type, cars that are full matches, which is what we ended up doing in order book. Is like first we were looking for the types to match, and then we had to look for the make and the model to match as well. So similar to the example we just walked through. So there's all different things in there. So I'll put that repo, and you guys can poke around at that. That in there for you guys can kind of poke around at that and just get an idea of exercises that you can kind of create for yourselves. So that Mozilla Developer Network, well worth going in there. It's kind of like the W3 schools, but I think there's a little more useful than W3 schools, but the two of them, anything that you're looking at, go through. So references, learn web development, regular references, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Take you through from there. Anything you want to look at, you want to look for an array. I'll give you all the documentation that's in there. So I strongly suggest going in, poking around, and trying to learn about arrays, objects, figure out everything you can do with arrays and objects, because that's 90% of what we do all the time is mess with arrays and objects. And do Googling.
Ooh, Raven.
You guys like that, the best of the outtakes? Do I have audio on it?
Goes Brown again. And Brown with a big game down the sideline all the way to the 25-yard line goes Marquise Brown. What strategy Bill Belichick has in store for Lamar Jackson tonight? 11th play of this drive. He keeps it. To the end zone touchdown. And the Ravens strike first against the New England Patriots.
Jumped over. Did you get to the backflip or something?
Crazy athleticism.
Besides Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's athleticism is it's
Not work
Well, some quarterbacks, if you look at Lamar Jackson, he's like, the Patriots defense couldn't stop him. It's too bad. Or are we looking at Jay Cutler, best QB of all time for the Packers? Because loved him. It's great. All those interceptions he was getting. 10 out of 10. We definitely want that QB.
10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. So do you have a favorite NFL team?
Do I have a favorite NFL team? Grew up in New England.
Oh, so you're just Patriots?
Obviously.
You know, I know
The
some-
Bears,
Okay.
Miami Dolphins, the Jets, Cowboys.
Are we just
Oh,
naming
yeah,
bad teams right now?
yeah, all my not favorite teams.
What about the Browns?
Oh, the Browns. Which one's where it's at?
85 shuffle, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, why did they agree to that?
Dude, it's 85. Do you think they really want to
I don't think they had a choice.
Yeah.
It's either do it, get paid, or
do it and get paid, or don't do it and don't get paid?
if you do it.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of order book for you. The other thing we talked about was maybe Pug or looking at View. You're working on Alexa a bunch. Maybe we could do some more Alexa. It's up to you guys. We've got free reign. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Pug. Pug. Although, as a dog, they're kind of gross. I don't like Pug. It is not as cute as my dog. There is no dog cuter than Waffles, and that's a guarantee.
One of my friend's mother, she's a veterinarian. And she has a little brown Boston Terrier.
What kind of names do some of these people come up with?
That thing is crazy. It does like parkour all over the house.
Parkour, so I expected.
Parkour.
What?
Parkour, the jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I said parkour.
It's my pup when I was leaving the other day.
Oh, you want to see my
Stood in front of me, did not want me to leave.
Here, I'll show you.
She's like, oh. Uh-huh.
there's
I felt so guilty.
No, oh, wrong chat. That's why. Helps if you're on your own chat.
All right, so let me just plan what I want to show you through, create a little plan at least for Pug. Got enough pillows for that thing, huh?
He just
Spoiled.
likes collecting pillows.
Spoiled.
It's his thing.
What's his name?
Waffles.
Waffles.
Great food.
That's right. We didn't order food tonight. Is there a waffle website? Let's go.
Waffle website, probably IHOP. Does IHOP deliver?
I think so.
Oh, that's terrible. That is
Delivered waffles, though, probably not too good.
chicken and waffles.
But they're not that great unless management changed recently because
Dude,
stuff
only
I got
time
here
IHOP
like
is great is at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. and you unlock
and
IHOP.
you're like either blasted or
It's the best food on the planet. Like, you're like IHOP and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. This is when they make the best food. Any other time you're,
that's when they have their A-team on.
yeah. But only one server, so you're waiting like 3 hours for your food. But by the time it gets there,
At
it's
that point,
bomb.
you don't even know.
Unless if you go there alone.
Trying to tell us something?
Yes. Yes.
Where is it?
Because I looked to have it.
It's with JC.
For
So
last Saturday?
No, it's with JC and
For the AWS.
Where will we do all of it?
Yeah.
just
I thought it's me that.
just start threatening JC.
You can just
Slash baby.
And
you can just say slash baby.
Yeah.
Learning doesn't stop because someone goes on vacation.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we did too.
That's like the
That's
hard
the
part.
that's the harder part because everything else is there on the Alexa, like
Oh,
Alexa skills, how to learn,
Yeah, I'm trying
how
to
to link.
piece all that stuff together on the AWS like docs right now. It's
AWS is great in some ways. Like the Alexa console is pretty great, but then some of those AWS, they have so many services, right? Every time I go in there, I'm like, oh, what was I doing again?
satellites.
Yeah, that's what this
I know, like-
pick the Virginia.
who would ever want
Where
to
did I
mess with
find
like a
that?
satellite? Like,
Data set.
let's spy on this person.
I don't China.
No, just spy on Japan and ask when they're making all those new animes
Hey.
they keep
See you
promising.
down there. Get back to work. Make more animes.
Problem solved. Or just do it in China and be all spooky and just send Winnie the Pooh's down. I mean, what are they going to do if America's sending them?
I'm just going to see if I can whip up a quick pug example that works. So you guys can do whatever for a minute while I get that set.
Oh yeah, it means he's turned off notifications.
Who?
JC.
No,
Call me again. You alone.
Was it a big birthday? Was he like 30 or something, or
He's 21.
21? Sweet.
How old is
21.
he? Yeah.
I'm aware, but it's a big birthday. It's his 21st.
First for like the 15th time.
Hey, he is not that old. Almost 40? No. Maybe
Might have
31?
really good genes.
You know what? We should all just start placing bets on how old he is and then someone just ask him in.
So, what cartoons did you watch when you were a kid? Probably gauging that.
Oh, good one.
What year did you graduate high school?
Well, that's obvious. A little bit more subtle than that.
Oh, I could bring it up. Just like, oh, what year did you graduate high school?
What bands were hot when you graduated?
Graduated high school, not college. He's gonna name like bands that we've never heard of though, like
Spice Girls.
what was your favorite show growing up? Tom and Jerry. Well, that doesn't help.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, they
Greatest.
started in like 1930 or something. So if he's like, oh, I grew up on Tom and Jerry, it wouldn't help anyone.
Not as
So
old as
Disney's over 3,000 years old.
Nothing
They've
can
always
beat-
been a monopoly since the
Nothing can
beginning.
beat those cartoons.
the
Tom and
original ones.
Tom and Jerry.
I love Papa
Oh yeah, no,
Raga.
those are
Nobody
Popeye?
they're classic on their own.
I mean, yeah.
Never got into it.
Who
He was a
Popeye?
little bit
I know.
too old for me.
Popeye the spinach.
The Papa the
You're
Sailor
asked-
Man.
This thing online, it's like, did Popeye have a stroke? It's like, he has
His
his
wife,
face
another
like
person.
this.
Yeah.
and, like,
No, why?
Why was
keeps
that?
clenching his
Sounds
jaw
like-
like this.
And that big man.
That's
What is
not
that?
funny.
Oh, yeah, slash.
Jojo was in
Popper.
Tom and Jerry. No. Jojo was in
Is,
Donald.
Oh, that's a lot of errors.
Right?
Why are there dots between your spaces or whatever? Is that like an app or something?
Yeah, so there's an option in here to view white space so I can see if there are tabs or spaces.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I mean, imagine it, even the graphics, you know?
Oh,
beginning
was not.
stages of animation.
What
Compared
was?
to Sesame Street and
Like Pink Panther, all the old cartoons. What
Teen
is
Pink
Titans?
Panther.
Camp Lazlo?
Those came after the classics.
No, those were the classics.
It will be like, who's Pink Panther? You talked
Yeah, of
about
course I
the-
do.
the
As he
movie,
goes to
the-
look it up on
no,
Google.
The latest Pink Panther movie, what is that guy?
Oh, Steve
Carell.
Carell.
Yeah, no, not Steve Carell.
Oh, it was.
Steve
Yeah, I've
Martin.
seen this. It's a movie.
That's what.
No, I knew it was a movie. I thought you guys were talking about like a show of the Pink Panther.
Or it used to be a cartoon.
I see the
I
movie,
think
but
it's only.
It's also.
I mean, it's Japanese, but
Yeah, even that one was.
still won't beat any of the shows I grew up on, like Camp Lazlo, Teen Titans. Anyone who says Teen Titans sucked clearly didn't live. What else was there?
Cartoon was Teen Titans Go was a little much. Like, when did all the animators?
You mean get off of crack?
There's a
Dude,
lot of
Johnny
there was a lot of
Bravo.
acid going on at one point.
With Johnny
Yes.
Bravo.
That was
Bravo.
like,
Who literally just
Yeah, I'm
wanted
just
to have
gonna-
sex and
yeah, that was
Yeah.
an intense cartoon.
Yeah.
for-
It's front end, but
and no one cares.
Powered by
Now
Node.
it's like, and I know question Lego thing.
So I'm
So you
working
can
on
tell
trying
they
to figure
started
out.
firing
So I want to
people
link
on
my,
crack. They're like,
my update
as much as
function.
everyone loves these shows.
And so I was looking at
Okay.
the Amazon documentation. And so this is where they talk about it, how to
Oh, Danny
the
Phantom
deployment
too?
package
Yeah.
in Node.js. So this looks familiar. So this is similar, and I kind of just pulled this from what JC had in one of his
The
slides.
original, not where they added that new girl.
So that's kind of where this comes from.
English, right?
So JC had hits where you have your function name, but it really like based on this, you don't actually linking anything. It doesn't know where to send it. So this is just has the update function, a couple of names, the name of the zip file, but it doesn't know to send it to my Lambda, which is here.
so you don't have the deploy in there? Or you
Correct.
do? Okay.
I don't have the deploy in there. So based on the documentation, you have to have that function and all this stuff. And that's where you put your ARN, which is your sort of unique identifier that goes with your Lambda up here.
Mhm.
But JC didn't have any of this in his is right here goes package.json. He just has this one line. Just
Yeah, that's who else is in it. So her and Timmy are the main characters now.
So you're thinking that this might be incomplete? I believe that. Yeah, I don't know. I believe that that is functional,
What are you
right?
watching?
I would assume so.
Yeah. So after we look at Pug, we can try. We can
Yeah, sure.
get that running.
Yeah.
So now I've got a sample that I've used recently. I can compare.
Sure.
I think a lot of that's probably optional, is what it is.
Yeah, I'm guessing you definitely at least need this the function ARN because that is what that comes from here. When you generate your function, it gives you an ARN.
Right. And otherwise, it doesn't know what.
Otherwise, there's no idea where you're trying to send it to.
That's funny. Then you get like lost in
Unless-
translation.
and-
Unless he's not, can you not version control specific parts of a function? I mean, it's possible that he's version controlled it out.
Well, some of it might be there in environment variables, right?
Oh, true.
But I don't think that was the case there. I believe that example should probably work.
You
So
gotta say back.
I'll bring that back up. So I'll walk through the Pug quickly, and then we can go over to that one.
You
And
recognize it though, right?
I'll bring up some code that actually works or doesn't work. We can fix it, but they keep changing the AWS, and there's 12 different ways to do everything. So like the reference you're looking at might be right. JC might have built his on like some other page that they have does the same thing. But like you said, either way, you got to be pointing to the right project.
It's
So
really cool.
we'll check
I hate
that out.
some of the characters in it. One of the characters is so whiny. God, he's a killer.
Yeah,
They never kill her, right?
There's always a line on.
I was debating between that background and a Sword Art Online background.
For module 6.
the videos in Slack.
Who?
Then when you have to
You have
watch
to
it
download
in
it.
Slack.
I know.
Yeah,
You watch
you
it
have
in
to
Slack or you
download
have to download it.
If you,
Yeah.
the way JC does it, if you pull it there, you can actually turn on double speed.
Yeah.
You can watch it
Yeah.
faster.
Oh, they're like embedded in Slack somehow
Yeah,
instead
you
of the
can
link.
watch it in Slack or download. But they're like the 3 hour long.
3
videos,
hours
so
long.
I
Yeah,
just
you gotta
found
watch
the,
it at double speed, right?
Yeah, so I want to watch it double speed.
That's what I've been doing with videos because I can't watch them on one speed. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna be here for 3 hours again.
There's a lot of.
And plus, most of the time, like, we're randomly talking and we digress a lot. So it's like, okay, let's get back on
There's
task.
30 minutes of great time in every single video.
Oh, this is
Yeah, he's gone.
Bro didn't even bring his phone.
Yeah, he's
He
like,
left it.
What is he doing?
Which means even at top speed, you'll be
Oh, who doesn't even like
sitting there for 15 minutes just watching nothing.
Well, I do
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's why I still put it on double speed and watch the entire class.
No,
And
I'm
then
just
if you
saying.
skip the
Yeah.
15 minutes, you
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not watching.
They have
the
Wi-Fi
breaks.
in school, so you have to pay to
An
use their
hour.
That's how they get the one. It's like in the flight.
That's what you can bang out.
Oh, free Wi-Fi.
that's what we go over. Every time I week off.
Get a week off?
Mm-hmm.
Of work?
For my birthday. Yeah,
Wow.
because I don't want to deal with Thanksgiving BS at stores. So
Oh, your birthday's end of month?
yeah, 22nd.
Oh, so you share it with Thanksgiving a lot.
I was born.
No kidding, huh?
But David's putting it up.
I was a turkey baby.
Yeah.
Big hat and everything.
Turkey bacon?
Baby.
Oh. I was like, what does turkey bacon have to do with anything? But
That does exist. That is a thing.
Turkey bacon on Thanksgiving is brilliant.
I mean,
Skip the turkey. Just give me turkey bacon.
So I go from store to store and like make sure they have specific products and stuff. And stuff like that.
and then he punches them in the face if they don't.
Yes.
That sounds fun.
It's nice because I don't have like somebody looking over my shoulder, but it's also just like yeah. They,
How many idiots do you deal with on a daily basis?
Do you have like specific stores that you have to meet on one day?
one on one day I can set my schedule. I can set my schedule however I need it. So like if I have a class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I can set my ending point closer to Framingham. On the days I have off, I have to go to Worcester. So I set my schedule to be further that way. So I have to get everything by like the end of the month. I have to have 100% of my character done. And I deal with a lot of needs per day. It varies.
Do you ever walk into a store and they start asking you for directions? Like, oh, do you know how to get here? Or do you wear like
Customers that are like, do you know where this is? I'm like, I do.
Yeah,
I'm just a vendor.
well, unlike my husband, that he would call me. He's in the grocery store, but instead he would call me and ask me, where can I find this? I'm like, ask the store's associate, not me.
I don't even look like I work there. I have my jacket on and everything. I have my iPad in front of me, and it's like, where's the cheese or the milk?
It's a great prank, though. You just randomly ask people in the store where the stuff is. Just whoever's walking in there.
You're asking me. I try to be polite about it, but I'm like,
so you just punch them in the face
I
once?
would really
You really?
won't. Just leave me alone.
Some
I
place
just want to get through this crap job.
What annoys you the most, though?
Huh?
What annoys you the most?
Managers that don't do their job and then blame me like it's my fault. Because what I also do, I do audits on CVS's. So I go in there, I go into like their back room, I make sure they have specific things, take pictures of like their emergency exits to make sure nothing's blocking like, fire routes.
Yeah.
I go into their pharmacy and I do regulatory reviews. So I go through their paperwork, make sure everything's up to speed. If something's not compliant, I mark it, and people generally don't like being told that they're wrong or doing something wrong. Even though this is just strictly review, and I'm not like in any way in authority on this, they think I am. Like today, I had one of the managers get like super huffy just because I found out codes
You found what of codes?
They're called out of codes like expired product
Oh,
on their shelf. So that's not my fault now, is it?
yeah, it is.
I didn't put that product out.
It's your fault.
My friend did.
Oh, finding it. It's their fault for
No, it's still your fault.
not doing their job. Get paid enough and do your job. I realized that they were really not scope because CBS is a horrible company.
Dude, most of their people probably die from just their receipts. Just they get buried in the receipt, and then it's like, well, we lost another worker. Just shove them in the receipts. No, no problem.
My guy saw like a TikTok or something where this guy was like hanging off the edge of the cliff. And his friend was talking like, hold on, I got something. And he throws down a CBS receipt.
Dude, I legit.
They're unnecessarily long.
I got
You have the
one
app.
thing
Put it on
once.
the app.
One thing once. And they're like, okay, here's your receipt. And it's just still printing. And I'm like, are you printing multiple receipts? And then it's like, oh no, it's just a coupons. And I'm like, I don't need your coupons. It's just a pack of gum. And then they're-
He's been working there for almost 16 years now. And then where he works, there's always someone new every month. If not every month, it's every week. And he's like, oh, there's this new person that they meet, and they last a week, and then there's another person. Yeah.
Oh, you don't pay them enough, so
Yeah.
they're not going to put up with a job like
Well,
that.
he's been working there for 16 years, and he gets paid $11 an hour.
Oh my
Hmm.
god.
I get paid 11 an hour under minimum wage,
Yeah.
and I don't get comped by my.
Don't you get tips?
I get some tips, but even if I don't make enough to make a minimum wage, they don't comp me. They're like, well, you should have made more tips, and I'm like, well, I should just go work for a different company.
Yeah, you
You should've
go
done a better
shake
job.
down
Yes.
people for more money.
Literally,
See how
they'll
that
be like,
works.
oh yeah, we'll comp you, and then I look at my paycheck, and I'm like, you guys said you would comp me. Oh yeah, it'll be a next paycheck. And I'm like, why would you comp me for next paycheck? And they're like, oh, actually, your next paycheck's too high, so now we're taking money out. I'm like, you know what? Just I don't even bring it up.
Well, that's why you're going to be a coder. Take care of that, right?
Yeah.
Hell out of my business.
Get a salary job, and then you never have to worry about anything ever again.
All right, so we talked about UI. Look at this advanced UI for you. Okay, I put some simple HTML together. You guys have seen HTML yet, hopefully?
Yeah.
In our,
That's a top choice.
what was the one? Revealing heroes, the hero reveal. Unmasking, that's the word. Unmasking the heroes, right? We had the HTML in there. Okay, so rather than write HTML, Pug will allow us to write the tag name without writing the actual HTML tag. So all of this HTML right here, Pug wrote most of that for us.
Really?
What did we have to write to do that? We wrote this. So we said we want a paragraph tag.
This is something you install.
Yep, so I'll take you guys through how all this set up, but I figured I'd show you the end result before I took
So
you
can
through
we
everything
make
else.
like links on the website if we wanted? Like, hey, we want you to click here and like.
Something like that. Pretty close, except for we've got to figure out this attribute thing. Didn't quite work, but we got an anchor tag. I'll have to look at Pug to see how to do that, but yeah, we could create an anchor tag. So if we do Pug, a href, Pug documentation has all kinds of good stuff. Gotta use the documentation because otherwise I would never figure out these things. So href google.com. Come back to my page I was working on, and I've got a link to Google. So everything that you can do with HTML, you can do with Pug. It's just its own syntax, which is cool because it's simple, but it's also different enough that unless you're writing it all the time, you're just going to have to need a reference. But luckily, this Pug website has examples. Look at all the examples. Not only do they tell you what needs to happen, they have so many examples for it, and they show you the output. So it's a really, really good documentation. So pizza and wings were hard-coded. Those values are there, but this is the title, and if I look at my browser here, right, food control panel, where did that come from? So let me look at this code.
Figured out pizza for food.
Maybe it figured that out. This title variable, we display a variable in Pug using this syntax, kind of like the interpolation that we learned about in JavaScript. So JavaScript uses the $ to do interpolation. Pug doesn't. Pug does a £sign instead. So we can pass data in. So here's my server. My server is requiring some other things, and we'll go through this in detail, but it's the HTTP and Express. Actually, I don't need HTTP, right? Yes, I do. Shouldn't have to. Should be listening for the Express server. So it's all right. This is good for now. We're creating a server listening on on that port. Just define our view engine to be Pug, and the part we'll go through that in more detail. The part we care about is this right here. Our response gets a render function in it. So rather than a response.send, we get a response.render when we install Pug and set the view engine. So we get response.render, and that title comes in here. So then I could do something like another variable and say food item 1. Put cake in there, and instead here, get rid of this and put in a variable. Called food item 1. Save that. Back and refresh. My variables in there. And then what about food item 2? Save that. And put a blank. I haven't defined that. So if we reference a variable that doesn't exist, it just puts a blank on there. So we can come back and we can pass that in there. How do you balance out cake? You have some apples to go with it. Apple cake. Perfect. Next, pie. Yeah, apple pie would be all right too, huh? So I'm going to get in HTTP and Express so that we have our server. We'll create an instance of Express. Right, so this is all the stuff we've done before. So we can set something called views, a views directory, so that we have a subdirectory called views where we keep our Pug files. So if we weren't sure about that, we go into the Pug documentation. I don't think it has a search, or it didn't. Yeah, it's one thing it's missing. But luckily, we can do a pug.js, pug.js, and I want to look for views directory, right? Views. So somebody asked the question. See if anybody answered down here. Somebody gives the answer, but I was looking for some documentation on that. So do not use an API reference, Pug. Okay, so I'll find a reference for the documentation for you there. But most examples have where you set up the views. I expect the documentation to cover it a little better in detail. Set the view engine. Express. Okay, so the Express documentation tells you about setting the engine. So there's Pug, which is the most common one. Let's see, do they give other examples in here? No, they just talk about Pug. So basically the view engine, there are other ones available. The main view engine for Express is Pug. So this might be where my documentation is. So if I do Express views directory, that's where I want to look. Yeah, so that is Express versus Pug. So that's the key thing you want to look for is Express views. That one wasn't really useful. First link, the first couple give us what we wanted. So setting your views directory. If you look for a Pug sample, you download a Pug sample, you should see both of these things getting set, your views path and your app engine. So those are more about Express than Pug specifically. this app.get is going to handle any get request to our root folder, right? And then we have our response rather than a send where we just send information back. We do a render and it's going to look for a template. You guys know about Command-Shift-P? Format the document?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
See what else
So there's a Command-Shift-P. So say I paste this sample and I'll get this all the way over here. And hit Command-Shift-P and this should reformat it for me. So it's Command. Yeah, so ESLint will tell you what's wrong. And then there are formatters. And I should be able to document with. So there's this one that will show me. There's Beautify, Prettier, Prettier Now. So Beautify is really good. So you install Beautify, Command-Shift-P, choose the option to format your document. You can choose Beautify, and it will actually change your. It'll put everything in line where it needs to be. So Caleb, you were asking about the little dots that are displayed here.
Yeah.
I like to make sure I have dots and not like when I hit the tab key, I expect to have dots. I just like to get that confirmation, I guess. So there's a setting, view, show breadcrumb, show render white space. So when I take that off, I don't see the white space. So view, render white space. This allows me to see where things are in alignment. All right, you guys want to try this out? You guys want to try to build a quick Pug app? Right, good, I like it. So create a new folder under your root. Do you guys use like a root directory like code or something like that? Do you have a standard root folder?
Yeah, we have a code as a folder.
Perfect. Yeah, so wherever your root folder is, code or whatever, create a Pug play or something like that as a folder name. I'm just going to change this to make a directory. Pug playtime, how's that? Pug playtime, we'll CD into that Pug playtime. We're in a folder, there's nothing in here. I do an ls, there's nothing here.
Pug playtime?
Yeah, call it whatever you want. Pug playtime is all right. Just somewhere we're going to just create a Pug application that's just a demo, something that just has the core basics, nothing really extra. Patrick, you still with us?
I'm still here, Jigger.
Oh, wow. All right, good, good.
Isn't it like 4 a.m. there?
3 a.m., right?
It's about 3:46. Yeah.
3:46, all right.
Oh, brutal.
Easy, right?
Dude's a
Easy,
freaking
right?
legend.
When do you come back, Patrick?
About Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday? Okay.
Will you be here for class Tuesday or no?
I expect so.
Wow. Hardcore.
It's gonna be ill.
Hopefully you've had a good trip.
It's had its issues here and there, but yeah, managing just
There's not gonna be any snow there anytime soon.
hell no. Yeah, definitely I can promise the weather is a lot better. It's just that like any other place, it has its issues here and there. A lot of rain. Then again, the sun gets really hot. So it's a mix of both.
Okay. Sounds all right.
What's the
Sounds all right to me.
temp right now?
I want to put it to just about sunny.
70, nice. At 3 in the morning.
70 at 3 a.m. Oh,
Yeah, tell me about it.
that's living the life right there.
I don't know.
Although I hate it warm at night because I have to have like 18 fans on. So
Right, half the time you definitely want to consider getting rid of your beddings and just probably sleeping on top of the bed because it gets really warm. Unless, of course, you have an AC in the room.
Yeah, that's tough, right?
it has to be like 30 degrees in my room. That way I can wrap myself in my comforter and just be like, oh no, I never want to get up.
All right, folks, we got a brand new folder. There's nothing
Yeah.
here. We need to make this a node project.
So
How are we gonna do it?
NPM init.
And what does npm init do exactly?
Installs all the packages.
So we'll use it to install and manage packages. Yep, we will use it for that. But so when you run npm install the first time for a brand new project, what does it do in that case? We don't have anything to install yet.
Installs the packages.
Package.json, exactly. That's essentially all it does is create package.json. I can do an npm install, and rather than answer all the questions, I can do a --yes, or the same shorter is a -y. You guys know that one yet?
No.
So that'll just, at the end of the day, you just have to hit enter 6 times, but this saves you that. So install -yes. Oh, sorry, npm init.
There we go.
-y. And it just gives me my package.json and has me confirm it looks
Oh,
good.
that is so much easier.
It's pretty nice, right?
What the hell out on? This is
Saves you all of a half of a second of your day. All right, so we've got a package.json. And package.json has the name, the version, the description, the main file. Generally, we have that index.js. Sometimes we have server.js. Those are the two common names. It puts in tests to tell us that we need to have tests, right? But we can put other scripts in here. You guys have used NodeMon?
yeah.
It's the greatest thing ever, right? JC show you what it's like without NodeMon. You make some changes. You have to kill the server. Then you have to restart the server, right?
Are we installing NodeMon?
Well, we can. I'm going to show you the pain of not having NodeMon, though. I feel like you guys haven't felt that pain
Oh,
enough. So
I don't want that pain.
I want to demonstrate
Don't
it.
inflict pain on me.
All right. So now I'll do I'll do the code command.
Did my computer just die? No.
Beatings will continue until morale improves. Is that the statement? Yep. All right. So I type the code command. Everybody has the code command installed. Yeah. Yeah. I think we might have checked this on Tuesday. Forgive me if this is now my 4th night of teaching night on top of my day job. So if I repeat stuff that I've told you on Tuesday or ask questions,
fine.
I'm at the end of this.
No one's holding it against you.
All right, good.
Besides Patrick.
Besides Patrick.
Both Patrick.
All right, so I've got package.json open. You guys can do the same. Code package.json. I like to visually see what happens when I do an install. So we're going to install Pug. So I'm going to npm install
Pug.
--save. Oops. Yeah.
What did you do?
I tried to resize and it jumped all over. Made it a little bigger. So npm install Pug. You know what I need? I need a good colorizer for my terminal, don't I?
You can change the colors of your phone.
Oh, sure can. Yeah, most developers do. They, I'm like boring. I haven't done it, but so npm install Pug --save. You guys might have already executed this command. If you didn't execute the command, I want to hear a guess. What is this going to do to our package.json?
To the
Yeah, so it'll create a dependencies object for us. It'll put that in there, and it will also do one other thing, which you were mentioning. It's going to create the node modules folder, and it's going to install not only Pug, but everything that Pug has in its package.json, and everything that all of those packages have in their package.json. So we might end up with.
Can we see? Do we have to click on Pug and package.json to see
What those other packages are? Yeah, we can, and there's a command I can find for you too that will show it for you, but that's one way. So we'll.
I mean, I was just wondering like how is package.json?
gotta install some
main
node.
file, you can see what other dependencies.
Yeah,
for-
yeah. So we'll do that. We'll install this and we'll take a look. Yep, it's a good idea. So we install this, and I expect my package.json to change, and it did. There's the dependencies.
In that node. So,
Okay. So sometimes we save something that we want to have in a dev dependency. In this case, we did it correctly, but I just want to show you that you can change. So it will move it back and forth, and now I say, oh, that wasn't a dev dependency, that's a regular dependency. So by just installing it again, it'll move it to the right place. So if you install to the wrong place,
wait, so dash save is dev dependency?
nope. Well, I did that as an example. And then this should be refreshing it, putting it as a regular. It's making a liar out of me now. Hold on, let me close that and reopen it. Yeah. Well, normally, save will put it back as a dependency. All right, it just made a big liar out of me. That's crazy. I swear, every other time I've tried this, it moves it. It moved it from dependencies to dev. It's not moving it
What
back.
did you do to get it to dev?
I did the dash save dash dev.
Dash save.
Yep.
dash
So yeah,
dev.
it's normally nice, and it will do it for you. I swear, but the demo gods are against me. I told you I'm at the end of the rope, so we'll just go like that. Put it back as a dependency. What I wanted to show you is normally it will move it to the right place for you, but now what I've shown you is don't trust that. You can try it. If it doesn't work, you'll have to manually copy and paste something from a dev dependency to an actual dependency if things go wrong. Yeah. Yes. So that should be built in, that part, right?
There
No.
we go. Got node mon as my dev dependency. Rocking.
All right. So we've got package.json. I can do an ls.
A what?
ls list. So for
Oh.
those of you on a Mac or an ls or directory, nothing's in here. I need an index.js file. So to do that, I can use the touch command, or I can do a code command. I can touch index.js, and then I get that place. Or you can use the menu over here and say new file. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That is also an option. But
Okay, so create new file from index.js.
yep. And we want this to be an Express app. So we need to require Express.
Do we have to install Express?
Well, that's my question for you. Do you have to install
Yes.
Express?
Yes.
So let's see what happens if we forget we want to do an Express. What happens when we try to run that? So if I do node, not code, index.js.
That face.
What's going on? You should have to install it. It apparently might be a globally installed package or something. I was expecting this to fail. Unprepared demo night, going live. I would expect this to have failed, but it found Express somewhere. So I must have installed it globally. So the only way, if you didn't have to install it locally, is if you installed globally, the npm install-g. Never do that, though. Always install locally, because otherwise you don't know what version of things you're using. So this was supposed to fail, and then we'd install Express. But now we can point out that this could be globally installed, and it's finding it in the global installs. We don't want to do that. We always want to have all our dependencies defined in package.json.
Uninstall Express.
I could try to uninstall the global, but that's another lesson for another time when I come back. For now, we'll just do what you're saying, and we'll install Express. So npm install Express. Is that a dev or a regular dependency? It's a regular dependency because Express is going to be our entire server, right? Dev is only anything we're going to use for development that we don't want to put out in production, because if we've got a bunch of dependencies for servers and tools, we don't want that on a production server. It exposes us to more chances to be hacked and things like that. It makes our packages, our node modules folder that much bigger. Okay, so check my package.json. I've got Express and I've got Pug. So now my node will definitely work. Oops, not that one. So now I've got Express, acquired my Express. We also installed Pug, so we can require Pug. Actually, I don't even know that we need to require Pug, do we?
No, no harm in putting it down.
Yeah, but we don't want to set anything to it. Now let's just, for now, we'll just create an instance of Express. And so we do that, the constant app equal to Express. Express is a function. And we are going to look at node modules. We're still going to do that. Okay. And now I want to start my server up. What do we have to do to start the server, right? We're not configuring it yet. We're just going to set it up to run.
You need to give it a channel to run on.
A port, basically.
Okay.
So we'll get an app.listen. Whoops. App.listen. We'll give it a port. 1337 is JC's favorite. You guys know what 1337 is? Lead speak. You turn that upside down and it's leap. Hacker talk.
It's what? It's
Leap.
We're obviously not a lead gamer, dude.
Leap.
I
R1337.
just don't turn numbers upside down. I've got
What,
better.
you've never wrote leads and numbers on your calculator before?
You got a lot to teach him. We're going to have you teach. Next time JC's out, I'm putting you up there. Teach this guy the good stuff. Exactly. The life skills night. Exactly. So we'll listen here. And then this function is entirely not needed. But it's really cool to just give us a confirmation that our server started.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right,
Yeah,
so
dot listen, and then we just give it a port.
give it a port, and then you have this callback, which is just going to execute once your server starts. Nothing too fancy at all.
So we don't need the console.log.
Don't need it. It's not required. If this wasn't here, nothing would happen, but it just confirms for you in your console that your server started. It's pretty common to do it. Okay, and then I can start that. We are going to use NodeMon eventually, but I just want to show, like I said, I want to point out the pain for
I
you a little
already
bit.
installed it. So.
All right, that's fine. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the pain. So we start this up by running nodeindex.js, and there's my message that says my server started. And I should be able to get to my local host 1337. And what do I expect to happen?
Nothing.
Nothing. Not get root. So
Because you don't have.
I have no handlers defined at all, right? What happened over there?
Install ASKB SDK one.
You installed it?
My mistake.
That's all right.
Because we have the older.
Yeah, we can pull Amazon in later too. Why not? See what happens. Have Alexa read "Let's Go." See how she pronounces that. Should be fun.
Let's go.
So now we need to configure a handler. So I want to handle anything that's a get action to the root. What do I need?
App.get.
App.get.
Error, I didn't get the message.
You didn't get the message? All right, let me check what you got. And then I need my path in there.
Oh, no. Can you click something else? Because I'm trying to copy the console.log. Thank you.
Block the one thing you wanted.
Did we have to install NodeMon first?
Only if you're trying
What?
to use NodeMon. But if you're just using nodes,
Thing
that's
yeah,
fine.
let's install to make everything more powerful.
So we just say cannot define module index.js. You gotta save it. Sure, save it. Yeah, so everybody make sure you don't have that white circle at the top. If you have that white circle, your file is not saved. That white circle is bad. Always make it go away. Save.
Or
Always save.
just have autosave on.
You could do autosave, yeah.
What?
It's still
It
giving
messes
me
up
error.
NodeMon if you,
Oh.
but I have it, mine set to whenever I finish a line, it saves. Either way, it'll crash, whatever, I'll just call up JC. JC, I
That's
need
not
your
a
help.
dot. I know it looks like a dot from
Your
here.
vacation's not.
Oh, let me turn those off. Is that
Wait, turn what off?
the white space? She's putting extra dots in.
Oh my god.
I'm like, what do you have constant on me?
She's paying attention.
You can have, yeah, you can.
It's right
It's
over
very
there.
detailed,
I'm
right?
like,
It's going to cover every
dot. And then
detail.
I look up and you have that.
So
I
if
didn't learn
we
about the
do,
dots. What did we learn about these dots?
Did you say it?
Important code dots.
Missing.
These were dots.
so, oh, we just want to say node index.js,
Were dots.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it should run it.
I see the string, right? So you want this inside the string.
Inside strings, yeah.
Good. All right, so we're just going to do send a response back. So what Express does is it starts from the top down to the bottom, and it looks for a match for the path of the request, and then it executes that function that matches. So it looks for anything that's got the get, and then it looks for that root match, and then whatever function we give it, it's going to execute that function. So I always just type out that basic syntax to start, and then our handler function always gets two variables. It gets the request and the response. And this function we learned is called middleware, right? It's like, it's a request response sandwich, right? It's right in the middle of the request, and then the response that goes back, you're writing the code in between. You can interact with the request and the response, but your code is in between those two. And the response goes back afterwards. So we get the request and the response. We'll type those parameters out. In this case, we're not going to do anything too fancy. We're just going to send back a hello. Hello. Sounds like a song.
It is a song.
It's me.
I don't know the rest of the words, guys.
Remember middleware, right?
What? Why is it saying request animation frame? That's not what I said. I said request.
Yeah, some of the times are all complete. It's crazy. All right, so now I go over and I'm all excited to see my result. Oh, I must have wrote the code wrong because I'm getting this request log get, right? And this is the thing, like developers that have been developing for 10 or 20 years do this. So they come over and they're expecting a change and their change isn't there.
You gotta get a post.
I'm gonna restart the server. So now I kill the server and then I go and I restart the server and now I can get this. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Enter.
Patrick, you able to follow along?
Sure am. Thank you, John.
Okay, cool. Patrick, does it confuse you when I say Patrick?
I already have the information because you're basically projecting your voice in the mic.
Yeah, it's funny. You break up quite a bit. I think I know what you say sometimes, but you.
Sorry, no, I say that it's easy to pick up on that because you're projecting your voice in the microphone.
We'll just start calling you Patio and problem solved.
Pat-
We'll have Patrick and
Pat O and Pat M. Perfect. All right, so everybody's caught up with me, right? Yeah, it's 1337.
On the browser.
Oh, in the browser to test this? Yeah.
Localhost.
Localhost or 127.0.0.1.
Can you still get to localhost if you're offline?
Can you still get to localhost if you're offline? So localhost is a universal the accepted name. Your computer has DNS, and whenever you type in Google, or you type in eBay, or you type in any of those things, like the internet is all just IP addresses. That's all it is, except for DNS. So when you type in a name for anything, it checks the local DNS to see if you've gone to that site before. And if it doesn't find that, it goes out to the internet to these DNS servers, and it gets an IP address for whatever name you asked for. And then your browser is actually just connecting to that IP address. But if I told you, go over to 162, 192, whatever, and you're like, oh, Instagram, right? Like you would just, like, nobody could memorize these numbers, right? It would be crazy. The internet just wouldn't exist. So they figured out to put these names on things. So localhost is an identifier that your machine knows is 127.0.0.0.1. So your local machine's port is like a universal thing that on a local machine, 127.0.0.1 is your IP address for any like internal communication. And localhost is in DNS to point to that. So localhost and 127.0.0.1 are exactly the same thing.
So if like you were still working on this, and let's say you had no Wi-Fi, could you still get to the local host?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You access someone else's local host.
Nope. So
It's not a local host anymore.
not through localhost, exactly. So if you know somebody's IP address, so if you guys are on the same network and you know the IP address of your machines, you could get to each other's machines.
Really?
Yeah. So you could all have web servers that you could all interact with. Absolutely. I mean the URL? Yeah, localhost 1337. So it's got the colon in between for the port. Most websites, or at least the web that we interact with, is all on port 443, which is SSL. So you don't have to ever put that in, or otherwise it's on 80, but 80 is the unsecured port. But you don't have to type either one of those in. Those are defaults. In our case, we're adding a special custom one in here. So this is like the REST services you guys built in Module Lead, except now instead of REST services, we're building a front end for it. Instead of delivering JSON and getting JSON, we're going to give HTML and text. So everybody's got this part working?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to use Pug, right? We want to use a Pug template.
Oh, we haven't even used Pug yet?
Not even. So we can write HTML in here, so I can put in H1 tags. Oops, I want to put those inside the
Node space index.js.
Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
Oh, that's
missing script dev. So you're doing node index.js,
I
right?
thought I was, yes.
So we will set that up. That's when we use NodeMon.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah, I
node
thought
index.js.
Because we're doing the other practices, that's or something.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's why we try to mix it up for you a little bit.
Oh, you're running dev?
So that looks like it's running, but if you go to your browser, it's not. Instead of the slash, that's a colon. Yep. It's hard to see from here. Sweet.
Oh,
There you go. Right there. Slashes, colon, brackets, curly braces. It's enough to drive you nuts. But the thing is, like, you understand this more 6 weeks ago, you would be like, what are you even talking about? But now you guys understand that, like, these characters mean stuff. It's, you know. All right, so I put this in here and I put these H1 tags and I come over here and I'm not getting my H1 tags because I got to kill the server, restart the server. Now I can restart. So like that process is like over and over. Kill the server, restart the server, refresh, or go over, realize I didn't kill the server. It's just tons of wasted time. So this is the beauty of NodeMon. This is NodeMon's big moment. So this is where we can install npm install
/save
NodeMon
/dev.
--save -dev. If I have my package slave. You can make Node your slave. I think that's okay.
Slavery got
Slave
abolished, didn't it?
It did, but the computers are still enslaved, right? So
Free the computer. It's starting a revolution.
someday they are gonna. It's gonna happen.
He said that would never happen as long as humans are writing code. The humans are, the code's too bad.
It's not capable. All right, so we've got that installed. Now, Tatiana, you were on the right path. In package.json, we've got to add another script so that we can run that easily. Like we could type out the whole nodemon configuration every time, nodemon and index.js. But we make life simpler by putting in a dev script.
Oh.
So we throw that in there. Exactly, good catch. Nodemon index.js. So that's just another little shortcut. So we get the beauty of nodemon, and then we get the shortcut of not having to type all of that out. So we just make ourselves a little more efficient bit by bit. Get a little further along, then I'll give you guys another break. But I think everybody's okay right now, right?
Ladder's full.
Perfect.
Wait, can you go back up? I was still writing. I can only write one-handed right now.
The other hand is full of what? Goldfish?
It has the goldfish. Oh yeah, all over my fingers. Wait, how did you know it was a flavor blast? It doesn't say on the bottom.
No, on the side.
Oh. I'm a little slow today. I thought maybe you were just a goldfish expert. You could have just claimed you were a goldfish expert.
It's the only fish that you should ever eat in the workplace right there.
Yeah, I'm a goldfish expert.
All right, so now life gets good and easy from here. Now I come back here. Spoke too soon. My machine, computer's taken over, exactly. Come in here, I do a clear, and now I can do an npm dev. And this is the last time I should have to type this out. Oh, npm run dev, rather.
Okay, clear will clear.
Yeah, it clears out everything, even your browser history.
You could write a script that's just another dev script, so you can just say npm run dev. Put npm run dev in another script that's, I guess, the consult say run. So.
What?
You can do a start one.
Missing.
Down.
Wait, what am I missing? It says I'm missing something.
There you go.
Wait, what's wrong with this? I'm very confused.
I think that's probably less efficient.
After argument, right?
It's proof of concept.
Says I'm missing a parentheses. I don't know what that. Oh wait, maybe I do. Give me a second. Ah, I'm smart.
Oh, you put it in there. No, that's it kept every time you started the server saying error. I was like, why is it doing that? We should put a console.login that says error. Makes sense.
Even you had a long day.
Yeah.
I wondered what that was.
Like every time
I was afraid.
it says error. Why is it error?
And you can be like, I have an error in my code.
That's why you change it to sentence, right?
I'm like,
That makes so much sense.
change it now.
All right, if that's working for everybody, we can come back here to index,
I learned.
and we can create.
Yeah, actually.
Yep.
And we can create a new handler, also for a get. So it's going to be an app.get.
App.get.
So that's our basic syntax. Every time we're writing out one of these handlers, we've got the path, and then we've got the anonymous function. And that anonymous function will get called, not right away, not when we start the server, but once a request comes in for that path, right? Code will only execute when that path is called. We'll need our request and our response again. in here. Now we'll try to do this pug thing.
No, that's not what I did. Good. There.
So response.render is what's going to try to utilize pug. So if we try to use that without actually setting up pug yet, be interesting to see what happens. So I'll just try that out. Do a response.render rather than a send. And then I'll expect that to be broken. No default engine was specified. Perfect. And we could Google that error if we needed. But we think we can figure this out, maybe. Should be able to do an app.set view space engine pug. Test that, make sure I have you do the right thing. Yep, that's good. So that gives us our first start. So to use the rendering, we have to specify the default rendering engine. Why it's not pug, I don't know, but that's all right. So we just have to add that line in there for pug. And that line is going to enable line 11 to work. So what I have on line 4 enables line 11 eventually. I'm going to have to create my students pug next. I'm going to try to keep it simple and see if we can just leave it on the root folder rather than create the views folder for now. So I showed you that in another example, but we'll keep this sample lightweight. Everybody up? Okay, so now I look at my error message when I try to run that, and it tells me that it failed to find students in the views directory. It looked in views folder. So there is a views folder it looks in by default. So we didn't even have to specify that. Go figure. So it's looking in views. So we can't use just the root. We're going to need to come over, and if we're at the terminal running, we could create a new terminal window. I can kill this server with a Control-C, and I can do a make dir views, create my views folder. I could also come over into the menu here, right, and I could click to add a folder. So create a folder called views, so we're going to create a students.pug inside of there. You guys all set? Yeah, okay. Checking. I heard you talking, but I didn't catch what you're saying. Creating a folder called views. So you want to create this views folder. And then once you get inside of there, we're going to create a students dot, and go figure it's called pug. Oops. So you're going to have views, key high. Make sure that your students.pug is in views. Just make sure everybody gets there, and then you can just put a paragraph tag in there and hide. Yep, created that. So you can just go ahead and save that. Make sure it's put a paragraph tag in there. Say hello. So just a P space hide. Space and hide. That's all we're going to have displayed. Save that. Just make sure that it's saved to the right folder. Then you just drag it up into views.
Reverse osmosis water. What the heck is reverse osmosis water?
Just evaporation, right?
So yeah, and then you pass it back through a membrane.
What happened?
Oh,
Yeah, I seem to have my NodeMon crash. Is there a way I can avoid that?
What happened?
My NodeMon seems to crash like over and over. Is there a way I can correct that?
You may have multiple terminals open.
It
I
crashes.
know all about
What
that.
does it give you for an error message?
Too soon.
Just the usual app crashed waiting for something.
App crash waiting for something. So it almost sounds like there would be a syntax error or something somewhere.
Or
Can you paste your index.js into the direct message in Slack, and I can just see what your code is? Or actually, do you want to share your? You can do that, or I can flip it over and share your screen if you want.
yeah, share your screen.
Let me go ahead and share my
screen. You have to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah. So if you want to share your screen, I'll stop sharing mine, or otherwise, if it's easier for you, you can put the code into Slack. Whichever's easier for you. You want to share your screen?
I'm good sharing my screen, but right now I cannot share it because you're still on.
Yep, I'm going to hit stop. You should be able to now share. Patrick is sharing, sweet. Oh, yeah.
Did you save it?
No, so you've got, yeah, so one thing is you'll have to save it, but your app.get on line 13 should be up on line 10. Somehow your app.get moved on you. App.get tried to get away. Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, that looks good. And then now you can hit that Command-Shift-P to get this formatted a little better. Now type in format. Hit Command-Shift-P, and then you type format. Yep, and then click on the format document. There are multiple. Go ahead and click configure. And beautify is good. Click on that. Boom. And then it just cleaned it up for you. So we've still got an issue in here. Let's start at the top.
I think he has the two terminals in both. Two on the terminal, like the shell, power shell.
So that could be an issue too. His code has highlighting in it. I don't know if that is.
Oh, I know. He has spaces such that we're not to. ESLint's going to expect to.
Okay. So that's actually not what's causing the crash then. It's just kind of a. Oh, hey, I see what it is. So on line 4, you have request and response. Instead of a comma, there's a period there. So it's going to be request, comma, response. And then the same on line 10. And then, yeah, that spacing we can work on after. So, yep.
I had lots of problems with that. Sometimes it just defaults it before and then.
Yeah, it drives you nuts, right?
Maybe it's not good. That's the thing involves there. So.
Yeah, so Patrick, if you go into your browser, you should be able to hit 127.0.0.1/1337 now.
Yep, we're looking much better. Thank you.
Sweet. Yep. So just a couple of small things, but that's programming for you. Everything's got to be perfect. All right, so put that students in there, and I refresh over here, and it kind of worked. So students.pug. Do another P and something else. Save that. Is my server not running? Yeah, my server is not running, but it's still okay. Yeah, there we go. Killed my server. So npm run dev.
That's considered murder.
Killing the server.
Oh, you killed someone.
Okay, so you guys should be able to see your hi or whatever you happen to put in there. If we right click and choose inspect, we'll be able to see the actual HTML that was generated.
So wait, can you see the code?
Mm-hmm. So I right click here to inspect. You can see this, and depending on what you put in there, you might see something slightly different.
Oh, are we starting the new file?
So you're going to create a students.pug under the views folder.
Under
Yep.
the views?
Yep, you got to create a views folder
Why?
because we're using pug.
Why does it need a views folder though?
That is the default. I thought you had to set that. We didn't have to set it.
Okay.
So first I was thinking the default would be the root, so we'd save the line. And then when I tried to run it, it gave me the error. It told me, yeah, this folder was there. That's what we said, okay, that's the default. So we go. That way it is. It is what it is. Just have you guys have the code as simple as you can.
It says where to look at.
You'll be able to look up view student. So we have a plural, case of plural in. So if you go to your browser, did you go to student or student? Went to students. Okay, so if we go back to where you did your response.render.
Okay, so it's local host.
Yeah, so that
Wait.
make that plural to match. Bless you.
Local host 1337 and then just /students.
Yep.
Res is not defined. What is what?
Sweet. Success. Put that forward in there.
Feels earlier than what it actually is. It feels like it's earlier than 8:30.
Let's see.
It's like blurry now.
Wouldn't it feel like it's 9:30 though? Because we bag.
Still messes with me.
Hey, so it's fine. I'll just show up late to work and be like, it's just daylight savings taught me.
Blame Benjamin Franklin.
I mean, I have to go in at 9, so whatever.
Oh, it's not running.
Get to actually get 8 hours of sleep tomorrow. Will I actually get 8 hours of sleep? No.
You should try.
See, I always try, but then like I'll be watching something and then I'm like 11:30. I'll be like, okay, time to go to bed, and then it ends at a complete cliffhanger. I'm like, I can't end like that. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, okay, I can end. Oh, it's 4
Res, so you're using res instead of response or something like that? So let's go to your index.js. Yeah.
Response. What was this? Response.send?
It's different than response.send. We're going to render a template.
What is this one? The app.get. It's just response.render. Response.render.
Think of it. We're going to render the template.
And then what am I putting in parentheses?
The name of the template you want to render.
So students.
Sounds good to me. You created home.pub there, but you got students too. Yep. There's no views folder though, right? You have a views folder.
I do not.
Yeah, so you got to create that. Make sure that
It won't run. If I don't have
students also has to be in single.
that's right.
Sweet. So that is a string, not a variable.
Yeah. Failed to look up view students.
Yeah. See how it's looking in views. So you got to create the views folder, put students in there.
That's kind of dumb. Why won't I just
Stupid dumb pug.
so
Bad
I just,
dog.
I
Bad
just
dog.
say views?
I was about to say, like, whenever we say bug, it just reminds me. No.
The student stuff picture next to it.
How
So-
come yours looks like that and mine looks like
Yeah,
this
I
weird
don't
red
see-
thing?
Wait.
Oh, Reddit.
I have like
Oh,
a
the
red
dog?
logo
The dog?
on the top. Oh, I see it. Okay. Just really.
So how do I
the
get the
pug folder?
students into views? I just
Drag and drop. Move it. Yes. Boom.
first
You
try.
got to go over refresh, and you may be okay. You might have to restart it.
Sick.
Listen to
First
the
try.
Batman song.
First try. I did it, guys.
Drop it.
I'm the best.
Looks more like a pig than a pug, huh?
That looks like Angry Birds. Rovio's gonna come over and
Work on it. I'll work on my art.
Rovio's gonna copyright that.
So cool. You guys are writing web servers. Not like writing the REST servers, but slightly different. So now you can put any HTML at all that you want in here. Let's go for some variables. Let's take
This
it.
will be the student file will be the front end file. Whatever it's printed out. So the student file.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can do a home file, whatever folders, whatever paths we want, we can put a new template in for, a new pub template. So let's put some data in there. Do you guys remember how to do that part? So over here, I sent in some data. I just had an object that I had to send in, just a simple object. So we can say, like we can put the object in line, or we can just put page data here to make it more obvious for you guys. And then let's define that page data.
Students, comma, page data.
That's spelled right? Voila.
UG.
Voila. Voila.
Sorry, J for Jack. Yes.
I knew that. And
Hey,
then,
G's and J's make the same noise anyway.
No, they do.
and then your Upasana.
Jim?
No, it will be Ugwala.
I mean, but if you look at the English language, G and J do make the same noises. You have like Jim.
So your name is pronounced Upasana, right? Is that right or no? Okay.
Upasana,
Upasana.
But it's spelled like
S-A-N-A.
Yeah, mine's gonna be the hardest to spell.
U-P-A-S-A.
U-P-S-A?
Yeah. U-P-A. No, that's correct.
Yes.
Oh.
Yasna.
Oh,
U-P-A.
S-A, S-A.
That's correct.
There you go.
Voila and Upasana. No? Why do I even try? Why not? Because I'll get it right eventually. Tatiana, right?
Yeah.
Tashiana?
Tiana. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the way you say it. People.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
no,
Close enough.
I was intentionally butchering it because I butchered everybody else's. I figured
Oh
it was only
God, you
fair.
have no idea how many different versions of my name.
Do you know how many times my name has actually been butchered?
None.
Actually, no, it hasn't been. I had a substitute teacher once struggle on my name. Like, he looked at my name,
Khalid.
and he's just,
It's like
Kala, and then my last name, he was done on my last name. He saw the word French, and he's just staring at it, and I'm just like, oh
You
boy.
see that Kia skit?
Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Oh
Stop,
yeah.
stop, hey, Aaron.
It's so funny.
You mean
Jaqueline.
Aaron? It's Jacqueline?
Jaqueline.
Oh, I love that skit.
So now I got a bunch of students I want to list out on this page. So I
Oh,
put,
besides me?
put the students in there. No, you're in there.
Am I?
Yeah.
I didn't see me.
You didn't see you?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, once we get the renderer, you'll see you. So we got to figure this out. It's still showing this. I need to render an array. So we've got to figure that out. Luckily, Pug is going to tell us. Pug.js,
Or else we'll
View.
kill Pug's whole family.
loop, array. Okay, iteration, beautiful. Iteration in Pug. Look at this. This documentation is some of the best. Shows you that you write this and you will get this result. Pretty sweet. So it looks like we can do an each student in students, and then we can put out the value. You guys see that or just me?
We'll see it as you
All right. So I'm going to go into my students.pug. And then we're going to do, what was it, a 4? Can't even remember already. So each. So we'll do the UL for an unordered list. And then we'll do the each student and students I equal to
Oh, I is in lithium.
list item, but also lithium.
Lithium is all I. Yeah, I still know my periodic table.
So just when you guys learn to loop in JavaScript and things like that, now Pug is its own thing, right? Pug has its own syntax. It is a template engine. It does a loop entirely different than everything you learned in JavaScript. It did. Everybody get this typed out?
He's wondering what his name is.
Ah, I want to see if my name was butchered.
I don't think so. I think I nailed it.
I don't know.
It's only one way to spell my name. And
That's it. K-L-I-B.
I had someone spell my name K-A-L-U-B once, and I was like, oh boy.
Caleb. Caleb. Index, yes.
It's just so stupid how people spell names differently. Like, stick to one word. Make it easier on everyone.
Right? No last names, just first names.
Oh, I like my last name.
Yeah,
Mr. Francis.
not bad.
Oh, yeah. Mr. French for the win.
You know what?
I didn't even get it.
You didn't get it.
The ass thing.
Tatiana can show you that. You just console.log error and you get an error.
All the time. Unneeded anxiety.
For students,
Yeah.
people after their system, like console.log error, and then list out the student. So line 7, make sure it's the student. On line 14, what is the string student? That is the name of the template. So it's going to look for a match for that, or something with a dot. So what do you get when you run that? Success. Success. Sweet. It's working.
Update.
You're missing it. I'm just wondering.
He knows what's happening.
Reflection.
Get ignored. Gone?
Good ignore. Caleb.ignore.
Oh, the texter.
Before
I
that-
wonder how I got that name.
Before that,
Oh, the talker. The talker. I can get behind that.
All right, so that's pretty cool, right? You guys excited about that?
Vera, could you just go back 1 second on the Pug documentation? I think that's an area that I'm missing.
I feel the shade, guys.
Hey,
just cool. And then,
Oh yeah. I won't be dehydrated. All right.
No sun.
No.
well,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it all depends on
he's a
how
goldfish
much
expert,
shade it is.
so it's not a lot of shade out there in the
Every
ocean.
time I look at you, your hairstyle is looking different. Either I'm just
So I just sit there and just do this all day,
and was that so?
you do that all day?
essentially.
Even in the
So,
lab?
Patrick, anything particular you wanted to see there?
Isn't that bad?
Yeah, and going over the, you know how you write out the HVAL in students and students in students,
Yes.
On at his lab and I'm like,
kind of is mixed up.
you're
And
right.
that's what I'm trying to do with.
Maybe his hair.
So how did I translate student and students from this example?
That is correct.
So your
Okay.
hair's gonna get in it.
Yep, so that's a
someone's gonna end up getting your DNA. And making
So if I was going to do a for
what
loop,
type of drugs do you guys make? So cocaine?
I would do something like a for student and students as an array. Something like that. I could call this val. It's creating the instance of that variable.
What about LSD?
So if I run that inside of the Chrome console, so say here I have students.
A steroid hormone?
Those are very hard to resolve.
So like that's how I would do it in JavaScript. It would give me the array position for that.
Amy,
Got it.
Art, Caleb.
I could also do something like,
Why am I getting incorporated in The Simpsons now? You saying I have a liver problem?
so I could use any variable I wanted there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's similar to that idea, is that we're just doing a loop, and if I wanted to get the student at that value, so this would be more like a index, IDX, I could call it. So it's just a variable name that you're using. So similarly here, and specifically in Pug, I could do val, like the documentation said. So students is available because we sent it in here. So students came in here, page data. We have the students property of the page data. We could also have teacher in here. And we could just make that, just for sake of it, teacher of the night. Students.pug. Hi students, your teacher is, and this is where we can do that interpolation. So that will be teacher. And then the students is coming through as a variable. We're looping through it. So this, we're using that variable. Oop, my students, your teacher is did not work. Teacher, did I not do it right? Teacher of the night. I just typed it out and I already forgot. The teacher is teacher of the night. Boom. So these are variables that are coming through. Students and teacher of the night. We could also add topic in there, any parameters we want. And then we can put those in here anywhere we need. So then I can go down here and I could create a table tag. Table, I can create a table row. I can create a table data, and I can say topics. And then I can create, actually I'll make that a table header. And then I can create another table row. And I can put a table data in there. And I could do that variable interpolation again. And I can put topics. Topic or topics, I can't even remember. It is just topic.
Oh no.
So I'll get this here. And if I wanted to know more about like tables in Pug, we could do Pug.js.
I don't think he got what he said.
So we can do these parameters in here.
Very clear.
He's not a coder.
So I have to have my spacing right in here. It thinks this was another row from another table. So spacing is super important there.
Wait, what?
He's not aware of that yet.
Oh boy. Let me check Slack.
All right, so now let's put this up in Git. Everybody's is running and working. Pretty cool, right? You can now build REST services. You can build websites. Basically, you can build anything you guys want at this point. You just got to connect the back and the front end, and you're off and running.
Can you go back to the index?
Sure can.
What even is that?
It's a horrible place. I can tell you. Azerbaijan.
Where is that?
It's a small country near Russia and not Scandinavia. No, it's near Russia and Syria and Ukraine.
Oh, yeah.
So I was flying to India and our flight had some technical malfunction and we were diverted to Azerbaijan. They wouldn't let us, they were just kept keeping us in the airport because India didn't have whatever that country and we couldn't use any credit cards. That airport is like.
So you're stuck in the airport with nothing.
You can't buy anything because you can't use any credit card. They don't have credit card machines. The only thing they use is cash, either pounds.
At the airport?
At the air, it's an international airport. It's like oil hub. It's an oil-rich country, and they only use cash, dollars or pounds or one of the five. That's it. You can't use Indian rupees or. So people who were like
Turkey war
tourists,
zone
they
or
were
whatever we were talking
You're
about?
screwed.
You can't buy, yeah, you can't
Out of
buy
luck.
anything because now you nobody carries cash. Even nobody carries cash more than when you're traveling because you have international credit cards. That's horrible.
Pretty bad.
It was like almost like refugees.
Yeah.
So they bought food for everyone because they were stuck for 17 hours. I know.
Yikes. Yeah, that's flying nightmare right there. All right, so everybody's got this and it's running. So how do we allow ourselves to make a Git project out of this? Tell me about that. What do we got to do?
First we do get status to check whether we have completed.
All right, so if I do a Git status, I get this message, not a Git repository. First, we'd have to do a git init. So git init.
Get in it.
So it automatically added a git ignore for me for git modules. That's pretty cool. Let's make sure that if it didn't automatically create this git ignore, make sure your node modules is in there. Why don't we want to put node modules on Git? We have package.json. It says everything that we're dependent on. So somebody can just pull down our package.json, run an npm install, and they'll have all the node modules. So there's no point in putting the node modules all the way up. They're not code we're changing, so they shouldn't be in Git. And if anybody needs the dependencies, they just pull down the repo and do an npm install.
How did you get automatically?
I maybe have a plugin that did it. If yours didn't automatically tell you, you want to create this git ignore with a dot git ignore, and then node underscore modules.
But now that git ignore will be in views, not in the.
Nope. Shouldn't be in views. That's in my root folder. It should be in the top folder. You can have a git ignore in each folder, but the one at the top is the most important, I think. Patrick has already got his in Git. All right, and then once we have this, how do we get this up into GitHub?
Git push.
Git push. What would we be pushing to in this case? Nothing. So if I want to know where I could, first of all, I got to take a look, do a git. Get my cursor over here. I do a get status again because that's usually the first thing we should do. Get status.
Git commit.
We've got all these files that aren't committed.
I do a git add.
We do a git add, and we add everything that's here. And then we can do a git commit, right? And then I do a git status after I do the git add. And everything is green, which means it's in that staging area where I can commit it.
Git commit.
Add in my comment. Commit that up there. And now I can do a git remote -v. And I don't have any remotes. So I got to create a remote. How do I create a remote? What am I going to add in there though?
Master. Origin.
Origin. And what's the URL going to be? So we don't have anything on GitHub. So we need to create the repo on GitHub. Once we create it on GitHub, now we can come back here and add it as a remote. So whatever you called this, if you called it Pug Playtime, go up to your GitHub, create a new repository. Pug Playtime, what a name.
Picture?
Hmm?
What's your picture?
It's me.
Did someone like sketch that or something?
I think so. I've had it for a long time now. Okay, we'll create that. Create the repository. Once you have the repository, you can copy it. Right. It gives you the syntax here. We can actually just copy this line here. Go ahead and copy that line out of there. It's pretty handy that it gives that to us. Or actually this one, yeah, this one has even more. We can copy both of these lines. See what error that gives us. No error. So I come back here, refresh. There's my code.
Woohoo!
After remote add origin was the it was the get push -u. The -u means configure the upstream. So meaning the wherever you're pushing to the remote. Got it pushed up.
Oh, and then the URL.
Yeah, got it pushed up.
It's not letting me paste.
So now you have that example to reference for forever.
Forever and ever. Or unless if you delete your GitHub account, then you don't have access to it forever. You could always search other people though and just go find it on theirs.
Exactly. Just follow everybody in your class.
Why is it not letting me paste? It just goes to steps. I have to do it on Git bash.
I mean, we're all dying.
So you
Some
add, so
faster
you
than
added the
others.
remote, so that's good. You just
I hope it's true.
You would have to copy paste the link.
It looks like you did though, right?
Yeah.
Looks like it worked. Right? Looks like you did it 3 times ago.
I didn't know the paste.
It looks like every time you right click, it's pasting it.
Okay.
So just hit enter now. I'm not sure. You need to configure that means the upstream. So do a git status. Did you do the add and the commit yet? I'm going to go ahead on YouTube. Status. Yeah, do a git status first. Status is always the first thing you do.
That's in your.
Yeah, everything's first, so you can do a git add.
Is my getting right? It's not turning green.
No, those are useless.
Get ignore looks right. Yeah. Your icon might just be different.
Yeah, those are you for when you do repositories for JSON.
Okay, so one more
Status.
Yep, and I do a get add space. Dot means everything.
So you make the pull request and then you JC code.
Uh-oh. So get ignore did not work.
In your own project, and then
You can Control C.
with master. Yours.
Do a get space reset.
But JC never has this merge. He just has to open the pull request and then you just what's happening.
Okay, so it's stuff that he hasn't seen and judged.
Now do a
I'm
get
like, what did
status.
he-
Yeah, because I should have figured out how to do that too. Because I was like, now that we're kind of like writing our own stuff, I was like,
Like back over to you. Dot get ignore.
Is it in the right one?
Get ignore. What is wrong with that? Nothing. Get.
so like why
Oh,
would
you
I
don't
like
have
say
the node mode.
you go into like the
Oh, good catch. Good catch.
No, I guess I did.
Yeah,
This
good
would have just
catch.
been like,
Yes.
I'm like, well, I don't want.
Nice
What you
catch.
should do is you can go into like.
It's supposed to be
branches
plural,
and you can
those
see, like, the newer
modules.
branches that I've done. So I don't. Like, I want like the code like right up front.
All right, so now you can get add.
So, but like on JC's.
Still looking at everything.
It's like,
Yeah, that still might be okay. Get add
Yeah, because
dot.
mine did the same thing.
Yeah, that looks better. Now you can do get commit dash m. Provide sample of pub. Gotta be quotes. There, and now you can do the get
Other one.
push that space dash u, and then space dash origin space master. No dash on it, just origin.
Yeah, he said he has an object that says-
I don't know, or even greater than anything in a while. Yeah.
I just didn't get those emails yet that.
Yeah, that looks good.
Those on my-
Just origin master.
He definitely has the right.
Doing the correct access rights and the report. It didn't paste when I.
Do a get remote dash v, get remote space dash v. Enter. Show us what we have for. Yeah, you're right. You don't have a remote, so let's try to add that remote again. So we go back to GitHub, copy that URL out of it. Yeah, just copy just that part. Oh yeah, well, so this is the first line. Copy that first line. Here, and then when you right click, I think it'll paste it just by right clicking, then just hit enter. Okay, now do hit the up arrow twice. Hit enter. All right, now you've got the remote. Now you can hit up arrow 3 times.
Version of the,
No.
Soft to pull the
And
button.
you go back to
What?
Chrome, and you should be able to refresh and see all of your files. Got it, sweet.
No.
Please. Okay. It's not a
they
big
messed it up on the
deal.
end.
No.
That's not good. So offbeat.
You guys.
Now there's a pause. I'm just gonna pause this long.
There's thousands of things you could be worried about. That's a stupid little song.
I'm like, no, that's not the alphabet song. You did it wrong. Teaching kids horrible things.
Which is why you just go A B C D F
Well,
G
you-
H I
you
J
can
K L M
just
N O
say-
P
you
Q
can
R S
just
T U V
say-
W X Y Z.
However you want.
True, but.
You guys leaving me?
It is 9.
Yeah, I keep
I
all my
learned it
students
this
at 10
way.
like every
That's
night.
the way it is.
My bad?
Terrible.
Is that evil?
Well, I also
Everybody
actually like to
stays.
say, because we've been saying it during that thing for so long. We just get used to that.
Just, hey, I'm taking my goldfish and I'm out of here. Patrick, everybody's leaving me, man. I guess you can go get some sleep.
Or party like
I
it's
think this
1999.
hasn't helped.
All right, man. It was great to have you. Maybe I'll catch you again in another class sometime.
Jared, appreciate your help. Thanks again.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody.
Have a
Good
good
night.
morning, Patrick.
Travel safely.
Or a good night. You know, it's just whatever people